Have you ever thought about doing a birding big year? Well, whether you've thought about doing one or not, you should definitely do one. It's easy, it's fun, and it's pretty addictive. Although some people do official big years, the overwhelming majority just make it a personal challenge. You don't have to spend any money to do it, or you can spend a ton of money. You can do a big year just from your home, or you can travel the world. And if you ask me, it's good for your mental health. The reason that I say it's good for mental health is most people begin a big year in January, and January is the most depressing month of the year, if you ask me. The holidays are over, bills are due, it's cold, damp, and dreary. I'm not a big fan. For some people with seasonal affective disorder, late January and early February is the worst time of year. The third Monday of each January is often called Blue Monday.
I gotta get out of here. I think I'm gonna lose it.
Uh-oh. Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
I feel like a big year gives a person an extra something to look forward to, part of that new beginning that a new year brings. To do one is simple. Just list every species you see during a calendar year. You can do it for a state, a country, a continent, or whatever. Someone I know just logged 250 species doing a big year in his home county. Of course, his county borders a large lake and has an excellent wildlife refuge, which certainly helps. And if you want, it doesn't even have to be a big year. You can make it any time frame. A big year, a big month, a big day. Honestly, doing a big year is like going on a scavenger hunt. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people, myself included, try to see as many species as they can on that first day of a big year. And don't worry if you can't travel far. Just look around your home for birds. With some years, on January 1st, either the weather is too nasty for birding, or I may have familial obligations, so I just watch the bird feeders on that first day. Some people spend thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars doing a big year, with most of that being travel related. I don't spend all that, but I usually do travel a bit to see rarities, and, if I can, I'll visit the Texas coast each spring for migration. High Island is a favorite, and so is South Padre Island and the Rio Grande Valley, or Rio Grande Valley, whatever the correct pronunciation is. And, as I mentioned previously, it doesn't have to be official. Each year I attempt to see more bird species than what is on my current bird life list. So, mine are personal big years. And because it is personal, I'll list whatever wild bird I want, regardless of whether or not it is accepted by the American Birding Association. A few years back, I traveled to Granger, Texas to see a striped sparrow, which is a Mexican species. This bird was far from home. However, Texas officials and the ABA couldn't seem to determine if it was a wild bird or an escapee. Nevertheless, the bird wasn't, quote-unquote, accepted. But I darn sure included it on my list. It looked wild, it was feeding with many wild birds, and it was spooked when cars went by or if people got too close, so I counted it. Now, some people won't list a bird unless they identify it in the field. I'm mostly that way, but sometimes if I see a bird I can't identify in the field, such as an immature gull, I'll take a photo of it and identify it later after some research. One time I was standing near a fellow birder on South Padre Island when we saw an immature gull that neither one of us could identify. I mentioned that I was going to take a photo and attempt to identify it later, then add it to my list. He said, "Is that allowed?" in a sanctimonious tone. I thought to myself, who are you, the freaking birding police? Then I just walked away from that guy. And it really helps to have a good pair of binoculars. These are mine, and they cost about $100, and they work very well. Now, these are 16 by 50, so they're very powerful, but I have steady hands. If your hands aren't so steady, you may want to consider binoculars that aren't quite as powerful as these. I also have a DSLR camera with a lens that zooms to 500 millimeters. And that helps a lot too. A spotting scope is a great thing to have as well. I paid $75 for my spotting scope, and it gets the job done most of the time, but it is somewhat limited in its capabilities. I have friends who've paid anywhere from $1,200 to $3,000 for their spotting scopes, but that is out of my price range. If you need something to help get you jazzed up about an upcoming big year, check out the 2011 movie, The Big Year. It's a pretty good movie, even though it bombed at the box office. But the advertising for that movie was lacking, and it had a few other issues as well. But it's worth a watch. And I highly recommend reading the book, The Big Year, by Mark Obmasik. The story follows the 1998 Big Year Challenge between the top 3 Big Year birders of that year. It's very good, and it's better than the movie. Also, a decent field guide is a good thing to have. There are many different field guides on the market, so it's best to just do some research to find the one you like best. Or you can be like me and have about 5 different field guides. But don't make it too complicated. Just create a list and have as much fun as you can. Happy birding. if I make this basket, you subscribe. Please subscribe anyway.